He recalled it, and grew more and more pensive. It is well known that whole trains of thought sometimes pass through our brains instantaneously as though they were sensations without being translated into human speech, still less into literary language. But we will try to translate these sensations of our heroes, and present to the reader, at least, the kernel of them, so to say, what is most essential and nearest to reality in them. For many of our sensations, when translated into ordinary language, seems absolutely unreal. That is why they never find expression, though every one has them. Of course, Ivan Ilyitch's sensations and thoughts were a little incoherent, but you know the reason. Why, flashed through his mind, here we all talk and talk, but when it comes to action, it all ends in nothing. Here, for instance, take this Seldonimov. He has just come from his wedding, full of hope and excitement, looking forward to his wedding feast. This is one of the most blissful days of his life. Now he is busy with his guests, is giving a banquet, a modest one, poor, but gay and full of genuine gladness. What if he knew at that very moment I, his superior, his chief, am standing by his house listening to the music? Yes, really, how would he feel? No, what would he feel if I suddenly walked in? Of course, he would first be frightened. He would be dumb with embarrassment. I should be in his way, and perhaps should upset everything. Yes, that would be so if any other general went in, but not I. That's a fact. Anyone else, but not I. Yes, Stefan Forno, For, Foronovich, you did not understand me just now, but here is an example ready for you. Yes, we all make an outcry about acting humanely, but we are not capable of heroism, of fine actions. What sort of heroism? This sort. Consider, in the existing relations of the various members of society, for me, after midnight to go in the wedding of my subordinate, a registration clerk, at 10 rubles a month, why, it would mean embarrassment, a revolution, the last days of Pompeii, a nonsensical folly. No one would understand it. Stefan Norforovitch would die before he understood it. Yes, he said we should break down. Yes, but that's you old people, inert, paralytic people. But I shan't break down. I will transform the last day of Pompeii to a day of the most utmost sweetness for my subordinate, and a wild action to an action normal, patriarchal, lofty, and moral. How? Like this. Kindly listen. Here, I go in. Suppose they are amazed, leave off dancing, look wildly at me, draw back. Quite so, but at once I speak out. I go straight up to the frightened Seldonimov, and with a most cordial, affable smile, in the simplest words, I say, "This is how it is. I have been at His Excellency's Stefan Nikiforovitch's, I expect you know, close here in the neighborhood. Well, then, lightly, in a laughing way, I shall tell him of my adventure with Trifon. From Trifon I shall pass on to saying how I walked here on foot. Well, I heard music. I inquired of a policeman, and learned, brother, that it was your wedding. Let me go in, I thought to my subordinates. Let me see how my clerks enjoy themselves, and celebrate their wedding. I suppose you won't turn me out? Turn me out! What a word for a subordinate! How the devil could he dream of turning me out? I fancy that he would be half crazy, that he would rush headlong to seat me at the armchair, would be trembling with delight, would hardly know what he was doing for the first minute. Why, what can be simpler, more elegant than such an action? Why did I go in? That's another question. That is, so to say, the moral aspect of this question. That's the pith. What was I thinking about? Yes. Well, of course, they will make me sit down with the most important guests, some titular councillor or relation who's a retired captain with a red nose. Gogol describes these eccentrics so capitally. Well, I shall make an acquaintance, of course, with the bride. I shall compliment her. I shall encourage the guests. I shall beg them to not stand on ceremony, to enjoy themselves, to go on dancing. I shall make jokes. I shall laugh. In fact, I shall be affable and charming. I am always affable and charming when I am pleased with myself. The point is that I believe I am still a little, well, not drunk exactly, but of course, as a gentleman, I shall be quite on equality with them, and shall not expect any especial marks of, but morally, Morally is a different matter. They will understand and appreciate it. My actions will evoke their nobler feelings. Well, I shall stay for half an hour, even for an hour. I shall leave, of course, before supper, but they will be bustling about, baking and roasting, and they will be making low bows, and I will only drink a glass, congratulate them, and refuse supper. I shall say, business. As soon as I pronounce the word business, all of them will at once have sternly respectful faces. By that I shall delicately remind them that there is a difference between them and me, the earth and the sky, and it is not that I want to impress that on them, but it must be done. It's an even essential in a moral sense that when all is said and done, I shall smile at once. However, I shall even laugh, and then they will all pluck up courage again. I shall jest a little again with the bride. I may even hint that I shall come again in just 9 months to stand godfather, he, and she will be sure to be brought to bed by then. They multiply, like rabbits. They will all roar with laughter, and the bride will blush. I shall kiss her feelingly on the forehead, give her my blessings, and next day my exploit will be known at the office. Next day I shall be stern again. Next day I shall be exacting again, even implacable. But they will all know what I am like. They will know my heart. They will know my essential nature. He is stern as a chief, but as a man he is an angel. And I shall have conquered them. I shall have captured them by one little act, which would never have entered your head. They would be mine. I should be their father. They would be my children. Come now, your excellency, Stefan Nikiforovitch, go and do likewise. But do you now? But do you now? But do you know? Do you understand that Pseldonimov will tell his children how the general himself feasted and even drank at his wedding? Why, you would know these children would tell their children, and those would tell the grandchildren as a most sacred story that a grand gentleman, a statesman, I shall be all that by then, did them the honor, and so on, and so on. Why, I am morally elevating the humiliated. I restore him to myself. I restore him to himself. Why, he gets a salary of 10 rubles a month. If I repeat this 5 or 10 times, or something of the sort, I shall gain popularity all over the place. My name will be printed on the hearts of all, and the devil knows what will come of all that popularity. There, or something like these, were even Ilyitch's reflections. A man says all sorts of things sometimes to himself, gentlemen, especially when he is in a rather eccentric condition. All these meditations passed through his mind in something like half a minute, and of course he might have confined himself to these dreams and, after mentally putting Stefan Nikiforovitch to shame, have gone very peaceably home and to bed. And he would have done well, but the trouble of it was that at that moment but the trouble of it was that the moment was an eccentric one. As ill luck would have it, at the very instant the self-satisfied faces of Stefan Nikiforovitch and Semyon Ivanovitch suddenly rose before his heated imagination. "We shall all break down," Stefan Nikiforovitch smiling disdainfully. "He, he, he!" Semyon Ivanovitch seconded him with his nastiest smile. "Well, we shall see whether we do break down," Ivan Ilyitch said resolutely, with a rush of heat to his face. He stepped down from the pavement, and with resolute steps went straight across the street towards the house of his registration clerk, Pseldonimov.